G'day ladies and gentlemen, Raptor X here, back with the next episode of Raptor X Reads. We're continuing the story of Brimstone by Michael Marks. And we're going to go ahead and start off with, what is the first chapter. This one is entitled, I Make It a 7. Elysium Sector, Idris M. Frigate, SS James Archer, the command deck. She's running, sir. Captain Ron Scanlon shook his head. Pinging an active scan is like turning on the light in the galley. The cockroaches always panic. He closed his eyes and made a tired, backhanded gesture toward the main screen. Explain it to her, Lieutenant. Aye, sir. Scanlon knew from the sudden thrum that a beam of crimson energy just lanced out from an overhead turret, cutting a brilliant line through the darkness of space. Knowing Coulter's flair for the dramatic, the shot probably scorched paint off the nose of the freelancer. She's shutting down, sir. Engines off, shields off, lights on. Uh-huh. Scanlon sighed as he opened his eyes. Funny how that works. He glanced over at Coulter. What do you think, a 6? Coulter gave the question a moment of serious thought. Well, he did try to run, sir, and this is a Tier 1 zone. I make it a 7. Scanlon narrowed his eyes. You're a hard man, Coulter. A grin creased the younger man's face. Just doing my part to keep the system safe, sir. The delivery was almost believable. Scanlon stood up and tossed the comm tab into Coulter's lap. Let me know what you find. He couldn't help but chuckle as he walked off the bridge. Navy doctrine had protocols for everything, and by the book all interdictions were to be treated alike. That's not how things worked out here in the Black. There wasn't enough time to run a down-to-the-bolts check on every 2-bit hauler that may or may not be smuggling crap across the galaxy. Scanlon was here to guard against the Vandul, who lurked en masse just a single jump away. When every search is a 10, your inspection teams get numb. They get sloppy. The flip side of that coin was every bit as important, the unspoken understanding between hunters and hunted. Don't run. Don't make me chase you. Shut down, play nice, we do a casual glance for VBT, very bad things, and everybody goes on their merry way. If you run, you lie, or God help you if you point so much as a sharp stick at one of my men, things will go very differently. Different covered a very wide range. Border duty on the fringe might feel like a career dead end, but it has its perks, autonomy being one of them. Scanlon could order a ship dismantled down to her floor plates, even call in a crucible to do the job right. If really pissed off, a border patrol captain could have a suspect ship fed to a reclaimer, one of those big flying shredders, just to be on the safe side. That last option could put a solid cash into the pocket of a savvy captain. Vulture teams hung around for just that purpose, listening to police band comms on the hope that a 600 metric ton metal grinder might prove handy. Hence the 10 scale. If a response gets above a 5, things start getting broken. At 8, somebody's getting hurt. 10s are easy. A 10 never happened. When you shove a boat dead stick into a star's gravity well, there's no need to write a report. Things only work out here when everybody understands the rules. Elysium Sector, Idris M. Frigate, SS James Archer, the brig. You just don't understand the fucking rules, do you? Scanlon slapped the tablet down on the steel table. The little counter in the back of his mind had already climbed to an 8. What's to understand? Rice and Drax held up his hands. I'm a businessman. I thought you guys were pirates. What could I say? I panicked. Judging by the calm he showed in his current predicament, Scanlon guessed that Drax wasn't prone to panic. The natty man in the leather coat leaned back, projecting thinly veiled condescension. Look, Cap, this is going nowhere. You ain't found anything on my boat because there's nothing to find. Nothing besides the dead body? Drax facepalmed, venting his own growing frustration. How many times I gotta tell you? The stiff was a floater. I got the tag, stuck him in the hold, and out of the goodness of my heart, I'm taking him home to... Scanlon glared as Drax ran on. The story on the corpse was likely true. It had been dead for a while. A freeze-dried floater with no sign of foul play. The cursory med scan said that the tumor in its brain was a more likely COD than some lead pipe to the skull. With some of those roughneck outfits, a poor bastard dying in his sleep is just as likely to get spaced out the airlock. One less share of the profits to haggle about with the widow. Still, The fact that any part of Drax's story might be legit pissed Scanlan off even more. "Do you think I'm stupid?" Scanlan growled. Drax might have been tempted to reply, but wisely shut up. Scanlan placed his fingertips on the tablet and rotated it slowly to face the manacled prisoner. Most of the gloss surface was taken up by a rap sheet that carried numerous jurisdictional icons. "You have outstanding warrants in 4 UEE sectors. The Xi'an want you for questioning. You are traveling under a forged Bennu registration. You even pissed off the outsiders." Drax twitched. Tiny, just a hint of stiffness. Eyes flicked down and left. "What, you thought I wouldn't find out that the Lyrans have, 100 grand on your head? Looks like that natural charms of yours isn't working everywhere." Drax tried to glare back, but his veneer began to fray. "Look, you don't work for those whack jobs. You're UEE, so take me to Idris, Centauri, wherever." Scanlan chuckled, the sound laced with sneer. "Idris? Centauri? Places where, remarkably enough, you have no criminal record at all. Places where scumbag lawyers working for whatever syndicate you're in are just waiting to sweep this away with an envelope of cash to a crooked magistrate." Scanlan's eyes narrowed, shifting from the tablet to Drax. A smile tugged at the captain's lip as he saw a faint sheen on the criminal's brow. "You're sweating." Drax swallowed. "We can work something out." "With what? A corpsicle and a hold full of salvage? You don't bring much to the table." "Look, Cap, be reasonable." Scanlan placed his hands on the cold steel and leaned forward, coming nose to nose with Drax. His voice was now a 9+ snarl. "You had your chance to be reasonable, to follow the rules, but you thought it would be funny to jerk me around. That's not how things work. So let's see how funny the outsiders find it." Drax swallowed hard. "You wouldn't." Lear Sector. Lyran Navy Corvette, LSS Independence, Airlock 18. A shudder went through the floor as docking clamps released and the 2 huge bodies separated. While no sound carried in space, it was a sure bet that the UEE boat was already engines hot, double timing it back to the Elysium jump point. Back to home space. The mill ship had all the badges it needed to get into Lyran space, but getting back out might not be so easy. That, too, is how things worked. Drax leaned against the pile of cargo mag-locked to the floor. A broad smirk creased his face as he looked up at the camera. With a cocksure flourish, he swept both hands toward the stack. "Ta-da!" The overhead beacon still rotated red, klaxon blaring. It was the normal process, as a computer in the ceiling made sure that both doors were sealed before opening either one. The smuggler wiped a soiled sleeve across his face, dragging a clotted smear of red from his beard. It was hardly the worst beating the feds had ever thrown him, but it's never fun to play the punching bag. Still, he was sure they'd hold back. You don't get paid on a deliver-alive bounty if the subject is dead. Drax had been real specific on that point when he arranged for the bounty in the first place. A hard metal bang resonated through the floor as pneumatic rams drew back the door bolts. The beacon flashed to yellow, and thankfully the klaxon ceased its blaring. The heavy inner door rose ponderously into the ceiling. Drax's smile grew when he saw the gray-clad figure standing backlit in the cloud of vapor. "And you said there was no way to get through the UEE blockade." Drax stepped forward with a swagger. "Oh, ye of little faith." He stopped in his tracks as 6 figures appeared to flank the man in gray. Guys in armor. Half a dozen ARs snapped up like switchblades. "Hey, whoa, whoa!" Drax backpedaled, open hands reflexing up in plain sight. The confusion on his face gave way to concern, this time the genuine article. "Dude, it's there, it's all there, every scrap." A team of 4 technicians scuttled into the chamber. The 6 guns didn't flinch. Drax watched as the yellow suits powered off the maglocks and started moving containers, tossing electronic components aside with hurried disdain. They paused at the long metal box. "That's just the stiff," Drax muttered. "The hard drives are over there. I figure that's what this is all about." Drax looked up at the gray, trying to get some sort of engagement. "Nice touch with a dead guy, though. A lot of plausible deniability with that one. I gotta remember that in the few—" Drax's words were cut off by the high-pitched whine of a laser saw. and the sudden smell of burning flesh as the head was expertly severed. The tech team lifted it from the makeshift coffin and placed it into a small, cylindric cryotank. When the latch hissed shut, they turned and marched briskly out between the picket line of armor. A loud bang overhead, and the klaxon blared anew as the beacon switched back to red. With a groan, the inner door began to close. 6 muzzles adjusted as Drax took a panic step forward. No click of safeties coming off, no movie bullshit of bolts slamming forward as if they'd been on open chambers. If there was any sound that one might have heard over the deafening noise, it would have been the faint creak of slack coming out of well-oiled triggers. That and the sudden fabric-tearing pucker of Drax's ass. As the inner door slammed shut, Drax could hear screaming. He realized it was his own, just before the outer door blew open with the whoosh of a passing jet. The last thing Drax knew was a cold, infinite silence. And that'll be it for the chapter. Thank you all for watching. If this is something you guys are interested in hearing or seeing more of, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button down below, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Take care, everyone. Ta-ta.